Yo, it's your boy Vatroh, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing, honestly, if I think MW2, the Modern Warfare 2 that is coming out in the upcoming October next month, if it's really going to succeed or not. And in this video, I'm going to go over basically all the pros and cons, and of course, these are all based on my opinions, and honestly, what I've seen just on Twitter, TikTok, what people have been saying. And so yeah, in this video, I'm going to go through basically the pros and cons and kind of what I think needs to be fixed in order for it to succeed at max potential on release. But before we get into that, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe really quick if you're not already doing so, because I'm going to be going crazy on the YouTube content, Apex, Call of Duty, whatever I feel like posting. I'm going to be making videos just like this one. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. So honestly, a lot of people are bashing this Call of Duty, and honestly, I did refund my copy of Call of Duty just because I don't know if they are going to fix the simple things that need to be fixed in order for the game to be really enjoyable for me at launch, in my opinion, of course. But I believe overall the game really does have good base mechanics. Like, at its base level, this game plays very smoothly. It feels like a Call of Duty that was made in 2022. Because as much as we like to enjoy the nostalgia of the old gen Call of Duties, you got to remember that the visual, like how you moved around, if you go back and look at it, there's no way that they could release something on a game engine or how we used to move back then, because it simply would just be so outdated. But by good mechanics, I mean a lot of people that you'll see that there's not a slide cancel or kind of like a skill gap kind of movement that Call of Duty for the first time had with slide canceling, and has now had, I believe, for like the past 3 years. So it's kind of embedded in, a lot of Call of Duty players to do so. And you will see the people who kind of tend more to run assault rifles and kind of take the game at a slower pace tend to like this change. And honestly, a fast-paced player like myself, I honestly did enjoy the change. I didn't mind it too much, but I think it's only getting punished so heavy because of some things that are going on in the game itself that I will talk about later when we get into the cons of this game. But yeah, overall, good mechanics, good sprinting, like the way you reset. I think it's overall good movement. I believe that the gunplay also is very good for a Call of Duty. It kind of brings me back to like a Modern Warfare. Now, some people don't like it because they say it's too much like Battlefield. This game's recoil and kind of like the craziness of how the guns shoot is kind of heavy, where I kind of get a Battlefield type vibe from it. But overall, I think it plays and feels really good. And going from the gunplay, I want to get into the Gunsmith or the gun customization. I mean, if you haven't already seen, the beta had a lot of customization. I'd say a lot, but it had a decent amount for a beta. But you could scroll past, and I'm telling you, there are so many attachments, and Call of Duty has kind of morphed into a meta, people finding configurations of certain attachments to just make guns OP. So you will be seeing a lot of that, and if they take the Gunsmith route, where it's not just like, you can select 2 attachments on this gun, then of course Call of Duty is always going to have these metas like that. But overall, I thought a lot of customization. I mean, it can never hurt the game, really. I mean, you kind of accept it. I mean, that's how Call of Duty's been the past 3 years with the Gunsmith and how much customization goes into it. So overall, I think in this game, it'll give people a lot more content and a lot more things to try out. I overall thought that majority of the beta maps were overall good maps. They're just your simple 3-lane Call of Duty maps, except Valdera's Museum, the big museum map. I thought that map was atrocious. It didn't play well in domination. It kind of played okay in hardpoint, but not too good. But overall, I feel like that map just doesn't really fit the vibe of Call of Duty. The game's audio, footstep audio, gun sound audio, all was really good, loud, and crisp to me, which coming from Apex, like I can appreciate, because just in Apex, like the gunfire is really loud and you have like no footsteps. Honestly, a lot of people are complaining because that encourages so much camping, and there's no dead silence perk, even though it's a field upgrade, which we'll talk about later in a second. But overall, you got to be happy if you can hear footsteps and have clean, good audio in the game. And so yeah, going into release, there's also going to be a lot more content, more maps, more guns, more, you know, reasons to grind your levels, skins, all that stuff. So I think that it has a shitload of content going into the release, which is a really, really good thing. Now I wanted to talk about things that were kind of on the fence for me. So the first one being the movement. I understand that now Call of Duty players are kind of used to having that skill gap-esque movement, you know, not just resetting your sprint tack and trying to jump and bunny hop, because I feel like the game kind of evolved from just the drop shot bunny hop type to have the slide canceling. And in a game like Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2, where the time to kill was really, really slow, it was almost like essential for these games to have a movement gap like that, so players could still play aggressive without being punished completely because of the low time to kill. Another thing is the dead silence not being a perk, and being a field upgrade. I honestly don't mind that it is a field upgrade. If they honestly made the field upgrades maybe come back a little sooner, but that's kind of honestly pushing it too far. I think honestly, if they were to remove the animation, like if you, for all field upgrades, if you were to just hit the field upgrade and it instantly does it, instantly applies the field upgrade, it would be a lot better, especially for dead silence, having to pull that thing out and then put it away, and then you can run around and run and gun normally. I think that'll help. Maybe the overall time that it takes for the dead silence field upgrade to come back because the footstep is so loud. But overall, I'm more on the fence where I like it as a field upgrade compared to a perk, because the perk system is kind of different. It's kind of weird. It reminds me of like Specialists in Modern Warfare 3, although like you just get it over time. It's not really kills. So overall, I don't really mind the field upgrade dead silence. I just think there's some things that can make it better. A lot of people have been complaining about the mini-map ping when people are shooting without silencers not being there. I personally didn't realize that so many people really use their map like that, but in the beta, teams constantly had UAVs, so it wasn't really a big deal. You pretty much had constant UAV on everybody on the map. But I understand why people get frustrated, because this also encourages camping, especially in a game where the time to kill is so low. So I could go either way about this. I didn't really notice and feel like it really ruined my gameplay experience, but I also would have constant UAVs coming from my teammates. So now to end this video, let's get into the cons list. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the time to kill. I think this is everybody's main complaint and why people feel that this Call of Duty plays so different and feels so trash. It's because the time to kill is so low, and that encourages more camping gameplay, and especially with slide canceling and like the movement, there not being a crazy skill gap in the movement, it encourages even more people to camp because of the fact that they die so fast when they do run out and try to play aggressive. The second biggest complaint I have about this is because the low time to kill, the non-movement, it all just encourages slow gameplay and really punishes faster paced gameplay, and it overall just discourages the casual user from running a submachine gun, from really trying to run around and, you know, just get kills. They're more likely to, I wouldn't necessarily say camp, because I can see why they're doing it, and I don't want to say that they're just hardcore campers, because in this game it rewards you for running an AR, just going hard ADS around every corner, because it takes so long for the guns to come up. So when you're running around, you're basically dead if the person is just hardcore ADSing, which you would see in a lot of kill cams of just people going around corners, just hard ADS, people sitting in one spot, hard ADS, which in my opinion isn't really Call of Duty. But you also can't blame these people for doing so, because the game encourages it. That goes into another main issue, is the ADS bring up time is it's not absolutely ridiculous, but I think that majority of the attachments making your ADS speed slower is a problem, and if they were to kind of chill on that, at least where it didn't affect it as much, then I feel like people wouldn't have as much as an issue with this, because I feel like my MP5, like at its base core without attachments, was like better than some of my builds or variants of builds that I made, which I feel like if they want the Gunsmith to really be good, that shouldn't be the case at all. So yeah, either overall ADS time needs to be increased, or just stop punishing it so hard with the attachments. One of my biggest though complaints is honestly the spawn system makes no sense in this Call of Duty. It's not like traditional Call of Duty at all. I feel like in domination, you know, where you'd spawn at A or C, and if the team pushes too far into A, then you'll start spawning at C and vice versa. This Call of Duty, it was like spawning you on opposite sides of B instead of opposite sides of A. So it's almost like instead of you spawning vertically on the map, you're spawning horizontally now, which was like super weird. I don't know if it's to discourage spawn trapping or what their kind of game plan was it, but it made the spawns like really unpredictable, which for me, and like I'm sure a lot of the OG Call of Duty players, it was kind of weird. It wasn't like too crazy where it was like ruining the game for me, but it was just super like weird and really left me like puzzled, I guess is the best way to put it. And now my final con of this Call of Duty is the visual clutter, but not only the visual clutter. When you're running a non-ADS, or I shouldn't say non-ADS, when you're running a non-red dot, when you just have the raw iron sights, it is extremely hard to see people. And then because of all the visual clutter in the game, like the smoke dust particles that fly up, the grenades, particles, the smoke, just the map, like everything is just so hard to see. Like I watch back my MP5 gameplay, and half the time I see the person, but once I'm ADS, like I'm just shooting at, all I see is the iron sight of my gun. But because the iron sight is so like girthy and takes up so much space, I guess, or so much visual clutter's going on, it makes it so hard to see without the red dots. And honestly, there's just too much visual clutter. Like I get trying to make it realistic and look cool. That's awesome. But not when it discourages and affects the raw gameplay of Call of Duty, which is shooting your gun. But overall, I feel like if they were to increase the time to kill, maybe throw the minimap red dot on for people, because if people aren't already noticing it like me, it really doesn't make a difference. And I don't mean like to bump the time to kill up super crazy, but a lot of people, their biggest complaint in Vanguard was the time to kill. In this game's time to kill, it feels like it's faster in some cases than Vanguard. Overall, it's just insane to me seeing how so many people complained about that style of Call of Duty. So I think if they were to fix those two issues, with all the content, all the reasons to grind, all the maps that are going to be a part of the game on full release, the guns, attachments, all that, it'll overall be a good Call of Duty in my opinion. But now it's all on Infinity Ward and the devs to make these changes, listen to the overall community if they want their game to succeed right off rip and not months down the line. But I am curious, of course, what your opinions on where the beta, what you think they need to change in order to make the game look good. And with all that being said, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And it has been your boy Vatroh. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it's been good. Motherfucking peace.